Okay, so now we get into a bit of a more complex stuff, right? We need to update the state of Hangman, right? We need some way to update it, right? But this is all going to be happening in IO. So we can't do the usual thing we've been doing of like having a loop with a function and then we update one of the parameters in the loop. We actually need to create like a variable, like a non-functional variable, like an actual IO variable. So how do we do that? Well, we import something called data.ioref. What does that allow us to do? So IORefs, they have a nice interface, right? So you just say, okay, hm state ref, that's going to be a new IORef. So that's how you generate a new variable. You say new IORef, and then it takes in some initial value. And the initial value is just going to be the current state. Okay. And now we have a variable that is updated behind the scenes in IO, just like you would with a regular variable in Java or Python, right? So if you change this variable with the functions provided, it will actually change in memory and not just be a functional expression like usual variables in Haskell are. Okay, so now we have a variable tracking the state, and then we can simply say, when we get the input, we will check if the input was one character, or alternatively, we can just say case val. So this is the input val. Let's just name it input val, just to be more clear. Input val, case input val of. So this is going to be some character and then the empty list. It's just going to be one character. So if it is one character, then we want to say here, we want to modify the hangman state, right? Okay, so let's just say here initially, so if it's not a character, then we don't want to do anything. We just say return 0. Okay, and here we want to say do lift IO. We want to do an IO operation. Oh, we actually need to lift IO here because this is an IORef and not UIRef. So we need to use it as an IO operation. So we lift IO and we say modify IORef. So what does modify IORef do? Well, that's a function that allows us to change a variable tracked in IO. So instead of saying read the variable, update the variable, and then write the variable again, like save it, we will we can just modify it directly. So let's say modify IORef, and we're going to modify the hm state ref. And what is the operation we're going to do? We are going to, let me just actually reduce the amount of white space here. We are going to, okay, let me just, it's getting a bit off the screen. So let me just change all of this to be like this. We're going to modify the hm state ref. We're going to do update hangman with the character. So let's look at the types here a bit. So modify IORef takes in an IORef which contains an A. It takes a function from A to A and then it returns IO. So it just applies the operation. So let's see if it works. Okay, it was all typed correct. So what do we want to do then? Well, we updated the state, right? Actually, yeah, so we updated the state. Now we want to get the current state. So cur state will be, so then we read the IORef. Read IORef. So this is going to be in IO also, lift IO. We read the IORef ref hm state ref. And then we're going to update our text area by saying, okay, text area dot, so UI, so set UI dot text to be render hangman. And then this is going to be cur state. So we update the text area to be the state again, right? Okay, so we can't do this like this. We need to say element. So the element text area should be updated. Let's see. Run it again. Okay, it all works. And let's see here. It's rendered again. Let's try and guess A. Aha. A was the right. Now let's try to guess R. RA, no. Okay. Q, no. X, no. E is a common letter, right? E, yeah. V, no. T, no. E. Okay. Yeah, I already guessed E, right? B? No. Okay, so now we have no guesses left. We haven't actually implemented any logic for that, right? So let's do that. Let's say here, so instead of saying just set it to the current state, let's say if one current state, then we will set the element text area set UI.text to be you win. The word was, and then we will get the word from let's see here, we will get the word from the hangman state. So we get word current state. Okay, so this is going to be if we win, then we will get to know what the word was. Okay, then if we lose, so if we didn't win, then we check if we won, if we lost. If we lose, how does it, if lost? Okay, if lost current state, then we do the same thing again, except this time we will say you lost. Now, if we have neither won nor lost, we will say, then we update the state to be the current state. Okay, so let's see what happens now. We run it, compile it, it all works. Okay, now let's try and guess. A, nice. E, nice. No, okay. Then V, B, E, no, we already guessed E. R, X, C, Z, U. All right, so now we lost and we updated the text area to be compatibility. Now we can keep guessing, but nothing happens. We have to reload the page to make it so that it changes, right? And well, how do we do that? Well, we can't do it here, right? Because that's like a user action. The user says, I want to reload the page. So what we have to do is that we have to add a JavaScript function that does it. So now we will say, okay, if we won, then we will say on UI.click button, and then we take the action, but we don't care about it, and we say, okay, we want to run a function. So that's possible here in the 3-pane GUI by saying run function, and then we have to say FFI location.reload. So the trick here is that if we are in JavaScript, we can say console, okay? And here we can say, 5 + 5, and this will run JavaScript functions. And the JavaScript function to reload the browser is accessed by saying location.reload. Run it, and this is the same as pushing the reload button here. So now we want to change the button to run this function. So if we won, we want to change the button into a reload button so it starts again. And we also want to say, element button set UI.text. We want to say play again. Okay, so we want to say, so we change it to be play again, and then we run it. And then for the second part here, if we lost, we're going to do the same thing. Now we see like, okay, this is too much copy paste, right? So let's turn this into a function by saying let win or lose. So this is going to be so the only difference here is this you win or you lost. So we're going to say Okay, so this is going to be which equals, this is going to be do all of this. Let's abstract it into a function, and we're going to say let win or lose equals do. So here we say which, okay, u space plus plus which plus plus the rest of this. So it's going to say you win, right? And then we close it and we say the word was, what is wrong now? Okay, the word was, the word was, okay, yeah, so okay, it's just complaining that this whole thing is, this is correct, but we want to say like this, and it's just complaining that these aren't the right indentation. Okay, so win or lose. So if 1, then win or lose 1. Else, if we lost, then it's then win or lose lost. Otherwise, we just update the current state. Okay, so let's try it out. Close the server, run again, and let's reload it. We say A, nope, E, okay, T, X, C, V, R, I don't know what it is, retreat or O, corrector, no, V, S, B. The word was restorer. Okay, we see we're missing a space here. Okay, let's just fix that. Okay, and see, now we can press this play again button, and it runs the location.reload, and we reloaded the page.